The Tar Heels didn't save their season with their win over Virginia, but they completely altered my understanding of what this season can be.
This is Tyler Zeller, and you're listening to Locked On Tar Heels.
You are Locked On Tar Heels, your daily podcast on the UNC Tar Heels. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey there, what's up? It's Monday, January 26th, 2026. Welcome into the Locked On Tar Heels podcast, the only daily North Carolina show out there. I'm your host, Isaac Schade. You're joining me at the place to get your Tar Heels content every single day. It's all part of the Locked On Network, which is now the #1 sports podcast network. Really appreciate you making this your first listen or watch of what's probably a really cold day for you. It's like 1 degree where I am. Like, I can't even say plural degrees. 1 degree. School's out, all the stuff, but we're here and we're doing the thing. Special shout out to all the everydayers, all the members of the Locked On Tar Heels Discord, and our insiders as well. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel. It's the last call for football on FanDuel. If you're a new customer, bet just $5 and get $200 in bonus bets if you win. Speaking of football, we see you, Drake May. Dude, that naked bootleg to seal the deal, calling your own number when that wasn't, man, unreal stuff. Congrats, Drake, in year 2, headed to the Super Bowl. Here's where we're headed, though, on the show today. The Tar Heels have shown me a brand new ceiling. You might even say it's the roof. We'll unpack that. Our Four Corners recap of the game, our Shady stat of the game. I got 2 of them for you. Today we'll have our weekend whip around, and there you go. Speaking as we get into it, just a couple numbers things really quick here because I can't help it. North Carolina on Sunday jumped up to 23rd in the net. They were 27th. They're now 4-4 in quad 1, 1-0 in 2, 5-0 in quad 3, 6-0 in quad 4. On tomorrow's show will probably unpack that a little more because I had several people say, hang on, whoa, how on earth is Cal a quad 1 game? Well, I'll unpack it for you. So we'll do that tomorrow. Also, this win at John Paul Jones Arena, big time. North Carolina won their last game there, February of 2024. But prior to that, Virginia had won 8 straight at John Paul Jones Arena. So, man, for Carolina to get this win, massive. I cannot tell you how massive it is. Now, I do want to push back on something I've heard this weekend. I heard multiple different people and outlets say that they believed that this win saved North Carolina's season. And I want to push back against that. I don't believe that to be true because North Carolina was expected to lose this game. They were underdogs by more than 2 possessions, comfortably expected to lose this game. So a loss here doesn't really put you in any worse position than you were already in, other than that it's another loss on the resume. Where Carolina has struggled and where the whole reason they needed some saving is because of the unexpected losses. That's where the saving comes in. So Carolina could have saved themselves by not losing that game. All this win does is propel you to heights that you might not have been able to get to. So I would contend it doesn't save their season, but it gives it new meaning. It gives it a higher ceiling, better opportunities. It reimagines a possibility of a world where you could get maybe as high as a 4 seed. I don't think Carolina is there right now, but I do think that they find themselves back more in like 5-6 seed range because of this win. But what I want to say is, while I don't believe this was season saving, I think it was season altering. And I want to give you 3 things I learned on Saturday that have allowed for that alteration. That have allowed my understanding of what this season can be to change. Because I do think the ceiling is higher now. Number 1 in that, above everything else we learned on Saturday. And yes, there were a lot of important things that happened. But the singularly most important thing that happened to me on Saturday was Derek Dixon's playmaking. We already knew that the scoring was there. We already knew that the shooting is there. This dude's shooting over 40% from 3. He has now scored in double figures in all 3 games he started. That, to me, is the expectation. On Friday's show, the thing I said, I'm loving what Derek Dixon's doing. What I do need to see more of from him is the playmaking, is the assisting side of it. because through his first 2 games as a starter, 5 assists, 3 turnovers. Then that's fine. It's a positive assist to turnover ratio. He's a freshman. We'll take it. But because Carolina is locked in with some other positions, and we've been searching and searching and searching for this point guard, if Derek Dixon could add the playmaking to what he's already doing, man, boom, lock it in. He's PG1, hands down. And so that was the biggest thing to come out of Saturday for me, for North Carolina, for the longevity of this season, short term and long term. This is the biggest thing. 7 assists, 1 turnover. And it's not just that it was 7 assists, it's the way he did it. It is the Kendall Marshall-esque, the Kendall Marshall-like way in which he was able to pitch ahead multiple times. But it was the first one that was so beautifully done, both by him to just drop it into Caleb Wilson's lap and Caleb's ability to catch this ball on the run and get it up. I mean, I have not seen a Tar Heel guard put a ball like that on that kind of money since Kendall Marshall. Legitimately. That was a dime, an absolute dime. And it was one of just 7 on the day for Derek Dixon. So now that he's doing that, I feel like he is locked in. Sorry, Kyan, you have lost your job. And as we've seen, unfortunately, a lot of his minutes as well. Now, Kyan has to stay locked in because Carolina needs him desperately. But Derek Dixon, he is point guard number 1 now. And so I think part of this kind of going forward is maybe the one of the other 2 guard positions you don't feel is locked in. Caleb, Henri, that's your 4 and 5. Seth is going to be the 2 or the 3, depending on who's the other one is. I don't know that we're sold yet on Jaydon Young as the other starter. And Carolina's used a couple other, Luka Bogavac. We've seen Jiren Stevenson in as the other starter. I'd like to see Jonathan Powell get a shot at it. I think that 5th spot is the one that's not locked in yet. So that's number 1, why this team ceiling is now higher. Derek Dixon's playmaking. If he can do that repeatedly, stop it. Come on. Number 2, Jiren Stevenson. Put a pin in that. Yes, the 17 points that he scored over the course of the final 12:42 of this game, which that was crazy. Yes, the massive charge he took on DeRitter. But the biggest thing for me and why I put Jiren Stevenson here is the assertiveness and aggressiveness with which he played, attacking the rim, mixing it up, keeping balls alive. That is exactly what Jiren Stevenson did Saturday, is exactly the Jiren Stevenson that Hubert Davis needs him to be. For example, Carolina's 7-0 run to end the first half, there were 2 3-pointers, but it was a Seth Trimble free throw that started it. How did he get those free throws? Well, that possession, there were multiple times that Jiren Stevenson kept a ball alive, saving possession for Carolina, fighting to get possession of the basketball, led to his Seth Trimble free throws. And it was Jarin that was the instigator there. And I loved that as he was doing it in the second half, and on a day when Henri wasn't doing it as much, I love that the staff stuck with Jarin. And I know Henri had some foul issues. You got to that 4th foul, and so you're trying to be careful. But being careful or not, you still got to make the call as coaches. And I love that they stuck with Jiren Stevenson here. And so, rather than being upset and frustrated that Henri didn't have his usual game, which is fine, I am so grateful to see the depth step up and do what needed to be done. And oh, by the way, you know how I've been saying, keep shooting, Jiren Stevenson, keep shooting. And I've had some pushback from that, and I understand why, but I have not come off of that, and almost daily at this point, it's like getting comments. It's like, see, now this is why you should tell Jared. Well, okay. Can I give you some numbers? In ACC play, in Carolina's 7 ACC games, Jiren Stevenson is shooting 8 of 17 from beyond the arc. That's 47%. In the last 6 games, so starting with the SMU game, He's shooting 8 of 14, which is 57.1%. Yes, Jiren Stevenson, 57% from beyond the arc in Carolina's last 6. What are we talking about? Keep shooting, Jarin. Shoot decisively, shoot boldly and confidently. Number 3 reason Carolina's season outlook is altered for me is that this group of Tar Heels on Saturday at John Paul Jones Arena had the discipline, the details, the maturity that they needed to win a game of this magnitude that just a week ago at Cal they didn't have, that just a week and a half ago at Stanford they didn't have. They closed out a game on Saturday that they would not have been able to if they hadn't had the Cal and Stanford experiences. I fully, wholeheartedly believe that. And so all of that and more is why I believe that Carolina's ceiling jumped over the weekend and why we will probably see them get a better seed now than they would have had they lost this game. And then, oh, by the way, Caleb Wilson just drops his business as usual 20 points, right? Like, that's like an afterthought at this point because it's so consistently there, man. That's insanity to me. John Henson has a podcast that he does, I think on the 247 network, and he had Danny Green on last week. And there was a quote from Danny that struck me at the end of the show. Because it's easy to be, for any of us to be hot takey and fire the coaching staff and things are lost and the world is dark and devoid of meaning, right? Like all of that. I really appreciated Danny's balanced approach to everything. And right at the end, he said of this team, they just need a little bit of grace, a little bit of time. They'll be fine. They'll turn it around. It's a wake-up call. The game's in California. It's a wake-up call, and it's better to have it now than later in the year. And so true, Danny. Like he talked about his 09 championship team where they started ACC play 0-2. And so Carolina now 4-3, got a game at Georgia Tech coming up Saturday and a week to prep for it and get things figured out. And so I just really appreciated Danny's insight in that. And that was even before this victory. So really critical, helpful stuff there. But those things in particular from the weekend, I thought helped raise Carolina's ceiling. The Derek Dixon playmaking, the assertive Jarin Stevenson, and the discipline to win this type of game. Great stuff from the Tar Heels. Now, this was a basketball game that saw a lot of runs in it, but it was a late final surge from the Tar Heels that had me most impressed. That and the rest of the Four Corners recap coming up in just a second. Right after I tell you about FanDuel, y'all, it's the last call for football this season on FanDuel. One final Sunday, 13 days from now. One last kickoff, the final chance to get in on the action before the NFL season officially comes to a close. Yes, it's Super Bowl 60, and FanDuel is making sure you're right in the middle of it with a special offer just in time for the biggest game of the year. So whether you're backing the favorite, riding the underdog, or building one last same-game parlay, this is the game everyone's been waiting for. This is where predictions turn into plays, stats turn into storylines, and every snap feels bigger. The perfect way to cap off the season and make the Super Bowl even more exciting from kickoff to final whistle. And so if you're a new customer with FanDuel, just bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets if you win. ACC regular season odds. The Tar Heels have fallen to 7th in the FanDuel regular season odds behind Duke, Virginia, Clemson, State, Miami, and Louisville. Carolina still got to play all of those other than Virginia. Woo, got a lot ahead. But North Carolina is plus 10,000. So if you believe in them to knock off all of these teams and win this thing, go ahead and get in on it. Make it count, because after the Super Bowl, the season's over. Last call for football on FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of Super Bowl 60. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. Thanks for making Locked On Tar Heels your first listener watch of the day and making the Locked On Network the #1 sports podcast network out there. It's all because of you. If you want to go even deeper with the show, check out the brand new Everydayers Club. It's all across the Locked On Network. It's a great opportunity to go deeper with the show, get 15% off discount to the Locked On merch store, exclusive newsletter, and so much more. Check it out in the show notes, lockedontarheels.supercast.com. All right, here we go. Four Corners recap. And where I've got to start is the run. This was a game of runs. And so when I say the run, you know the one I mean, or so you think. I actually don't mean the run that Carolina went on, the 7-0 run to end the first half, that extended to a 40-19 run by the time Carolina had taken a 5-point lead with 9:43 to go. That's not the run I mean. What I mean is this run that was even more impressive to me, because in real time, I was like, wow, the Tar Heels have fought all this way back. Do they have enough energy left in their reserves to take a lead? And the answer to that was yes. Surprisingly, I thought they'd expended so much energy. So then the question became, okay, they had enough energy left to take a lead. Do they have enough energy left to hold a lead? And that was where things began to unravel. Because from the time that Carolina got that 5-point lead at 67-62 with 9:43 to go, Virginia immediately went on a 9-0 run to recapture the lead by 4, 71-67. And that was when I began to think, here's the moment. Now the Tar Heels have run out of gas. Virginia comes back. They claim the lead back, and they're never going to relinquish it. But again, the answer was yes, Carolina still had enough left in the tank. Carolina responds to that 9-0 Virginia run with a 14-3 run of their own to take a 7-point lead with 1:38 to go at 81-74. Now, as you know, because of the free throw struggles of this season, Carolina tried to choke it away, but that 7-point lead was enough of a buffer. And by the way, that 14-3 run, 9 of those points went to our guy, Jiren Stevenson, 2 threes with a traditional and one sandwiched is the word I'm looking for, sandwiched in between all of that. So the run after the run is the one that most impressed me, because Carolina was able to find that one more wind and get it done, man. So critical. Four Corners recap point number 2. Look, it's no secret that Carolina's defense has been the struggle in the losses and, quite frankly, on the road. And even some in the Wake Forest game at home as well. But at SMU, at Stanford, at Cal, Carolina struggled defensively. And in the first half of this game, the same was yet again true. And it was like, good grief, fellas. We got to get this figured out. We cannot continue to have poor transition defense that leads to these wide open threes. We can't continue to get all sucked into the middle with no one guarding the perimeter. That has to happen. And so Four Corners recap point number 2 is the fact that in the second half, Carolina was so much more connected and communicative. They stayed in front of their men. The defense was more cohesive. Also, importantly, the toughness that seemed to be lacking in the first half showed up, and Carolina was either matched or exceeded what Virginia was doing. And man, that changed the tenor of the second half and allowed Carolina to fight back. Four Corners recap point number 3, fast break points. Carolina started the season with 26 fast break points against Central Arkansas. I was like, you got everybody seeing this? This is crazy. Carolina's going to run gangbusters this year. They really haven't. It had been a bit of a slower pace. Not getting it going all that much. But there's something about, I think now with Dixon in, with Seth Trimble kind of fully back and healthy and like having his game legs again. Carolina had 21 fast break points in this game, second most to that Central Arkansas game that started the season. And I know it's a different Virginia team, but man, 21 fast break points in that building against a talented Virginia team who, yes, gives it up maybe a little bit more than you or I would realize on the surface. Still, Carolina getting 21 fast break points against Virginia. Huge. Finally, and fourthly, in the Four Corners recap, Carolina's bench points. Now, back-to-back games scoring over 30 points. And interestingly, in the Notre Dame game last Wednesday, Carolina had a multitude of players help them get to that 35 bench points. On Saturday, it was literally just the combination of Jarin Stevenson and Luka Bogavac. Those two guys scored Carolina's 31 bench points on Saturday. And really, when you start to look at the depth, it's going to be the starters, those two guys, and Jonathan Powell. Like, that's your main 8. And so to get 31 from that duo, earlier in the week to get 35 from a multitude of players, if Carolina can continue to bring that, man, it's so good and so healthy, because I thought a big part of Carolina having that energy we talked about earlier down the stretch was the fact that Coach Davis was able to get a breather here and there for Caleb, was able to get a breather for Derek at times. And part of that, I'm starting to want, like, I also feel like I heard a lot this weekend of, boy, the rotations are crazy right now. And they are. I would agree with that. Like, why is Jaydon Hyde the first big coming into the game? Why is Jaden Young starting but only playing 7 minutes? I wonder if part of that is Coach Davis saying, I want to have my most important players fresh later in the game. And so I'm going to sneak minutes early for the Jaden Youngs, for these Jaden Highs, and see if that can help get us further down the road with better energy from the better players. I don't know, but that's my theory and hypothesis. So there you go. Bench points, though, back-to-back games of 30 plus for Carolina. Incredible stuff. Now it's time to get to the shady stat of the game, and it's a trend I'm seeing head in the right direction. I've actually got 2 shady stats for you today, all coming up in just a second. Right after I tell you about Mazda. This is Mazda's moving the game forward moment. You might remember it from back during football season, right? We had that every week. Oh man, it's so cool. Mazda's coming back around, and we're doing it again for basketball season. So moving the game forward, for those who show, there's more to the score than what you see on screen. And our highlight this time for the moving the game forward moment is Derek Dixon, because what he's doing for Carolina is moving it in a direction forward that they could not have done this season otherwise. Carolina would have had to continue to try to piece things together. To put a number on moving the game forward, it's his 7 assists and just 1 turnover on Saturday at John Paul Jones Arena. Unreal stuff. Great job, Derek Dixon. Way to go. These moments remind us of what it really takes to raise the bar. It's that extra work off the court. It's dialing in every detail. It's giving it that extra fire, that grit, and that I never quit mentality. And Mazda, they put that same passion into every model. Highlights make the reel, but what it took to get there is what makes it count. Because there's more to a Mazda, because there's more to you. It's time for the shady stat of the game. I should say shady stats of the game, because as I told you, I got 2 today, baby. Let's go. Number 1. In the same way I talked about Jiren Stevenson's 3-point shooting earlier, let me remind you, because it's wild. In ACC play, Jiren Stevenson shooting 47% from 3. In Carolina's last 6, 57% from 3. I see you, Jiren Stevenson. Yes, sir. And the shady stat of the game, the first one, is Carolina's 3-point shooting as a team. You might recall that Wednesday against Notre Dame, Carolina hit 13 threes. That was the season high. Well, on Saturday, they got to double digits again, 5 of 11 in each half. So exactly 45.5% for the Tar Heels. The good news of what we've seen in the last 2 games is that it's the first 2 games this season that Carolina has hit double-digit free throws in back-to-back games. Double-digit 3-pointers in back-to-back games. Oh, the free throws. I just don't even want to talk about the good grief. Anyway, they did that. And then also against, not only did they make a bunch, but they did it on a high volume and a high percentage. Each of these 2 games, these past 2 games, Carolina has shot 38% or better from 3. That's the first time they've done that in back-to-back games this season. 38.2% against Notre Dame, and again 45.5% against Virginia, which is the second highest 3-point shooting percentage of the season for the Tar Heels. And so now for the season, Carolina is shooting 34.6% from 3, which puts them 153rd in the nation. They are moving up And I just want to see it keep going, whether it's Stevenson and some newfound confidence. Bogavac feels like he's finding his touch a little bit. Can Kyan Evans, now that he's in more of a support role, continue to grow? You've got Dixon and Henri Veesaar, both over 40%. Keep getting there. I think the shooting is starting to become what Hubert Davis had said it could be. Will that continue? We'll find out, but for now, that's good. One other shady stat of the game I want to give to you. So here's part 2. North Carolina committed a season low 4 turnovers in this basketball game. And as a reminder, the first 2 came within the first 2 minutes of the game. And that's it. 2 more. The entire final 38 minutes. You are going to win a vast majority of your basketball games if you can hold on to the ball at that level. You guys, that's crazy stuff from the Tar Heels. Really, really, really good. Really, really proud of them to be able to do it in that way. All right, it's time to get to the weekend whip around. Let's find out what else was going on in Carolina athletics this weekend. I'm going to get a drink first. Yeah, that's good stuff. All right, let's start with women's basketball, who goes 2-0 on the weekend, moves their record to 17-5 overall, 6-3 in ACC play. It was after we recorded on Thursday, but the Tar Heels won at Georgia Tech down in Atlanta, 54-46. It was the third quarter that was the decisive moment. The teams were tied after 1, tied at the half, but Carolina won the third quarter 13-6, and that was it. Rough shooting day for both teams. Sierra Toomey 1 point shy of a double-double, 9 and 15. 41 of the 54 points came from Lainey Grant, Renaya, Kelly, Sierra Toomey, and Arnasalo. Those 4 got 41 of Carolina's 54 points. Nice stuff. Always good to get a road win in conference play, as the men found out on Saturday. And then on Sunday, the Tar Heels hosted Syracuse, and it took overtime, but they won 77-71. Nyla Harris leads the way with 21 and 11. This is one of those frustrating games similar to Carolina's game at Stanford, where the Tar Heels led for 37-39, but there were 12 lead changes, and obviously they needed overtime to win. But the key is what I just said, to win. They won. That's what matters, right? And so really, really good stuff there. It kind of frustratingly for the ladies, though, they led by 8 with 3.5 minutes to go. Syracuse closes regulation on an 8-0 run to force overtime. Carolina committed 20 turnovers for the game. 5 of them were in that final 3.5 minutes. That's what allowed Syracuse to get right back in it. So there you go. And then Carolina took care of work in overtime. Women's tennis. Again, the ITA kickoff weekend, Carolina played Charlotte, blanked them. They took the doubles point with wins at 1 and 2, and then swept at 1, 5, and 6. And obviously, since it's tournament play, you just stop and you don't finish the other events. So Carolina punches their ticket to the ITA National Team Indoor National Championship, which is February 6th through 9th. On the men's side, unfortunately, they lost to Vandy in a close one, so close on Friday, 3-4, but then they beat Virginia Tech, swept them on Sunday 4-0. Really, really good stuff there. Wrestling, we talked about the huge matchup that the number 11 Tar Heels had at number 8 NC State on Friday night, and man, they just couldn't get it done. Wolfpack wins 24-10. Better days ahead for wrestling. Gymnastics hosted Pitt on Friday, and they win that one 196.525 to 195.350. So the Heels are 3-2 overall, 1-1 in ACC play. Great stuff there. As we talked about Friday, fencing was canceled. Track and field was in Blacksburg for the Hokie Invitational. Had some really nice moments there. Wins, PRs, all sorts of great stuff. Way to go, track and field. All right, you guys, that's it for today's show. Great to be together here on a Monday to get it back rolling. Got some really fun stuff for the rest of the week planned. We'll chat on Tuesday about where the Virginia win fits among the Hubert Davis regular season wins. Josh Marlowe's joining me this week. Coach Rob will join me this week. Friday's show, we'll get ready for Georgia Tech. Going to be a lot of fun. Be with us. Be locked in all week long. If you've not subscribed to the show on video and audio, do it now so you don't miss a second of Locked On Tar Heels. If you haven't checked out the Everydayers Club, we would love to see you there. That link is in the show notes, as is the link for the Locked On Tar Heels Discord, where we got hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of Tar Heels fans hanging out literally every day. We'd love to have you be a part of it as well. I also forgot to say, so many of you reached out to offer birthday wishes over the weekend. That's great. You know, if I could ask for a gift from you, it would be for you to subscribe to the show as we continue to grow it. Now, I say that kind of jokingly, but I mean it seriously. We'd love for you. If you're in here with us and you haven't subscribed, do it right now. Man, that's awesome. Thank you so much. You guys, it's always a great day to be a Tar Heel. We'll talk again tomorrow, but until then, peace.